Jess going for a walk in Mossman. You're not getting very far, Jess. Take longer strides. We're in Mossman, about 20 kilometres, 30 kilometres north of Port Douglas. And as always, the ubiquitous sugarcane fields, this time with the Atherton tablelands in the background. We're in the local skate park, and in a fishing theme, we've got a sugarcane train. I don't know what Jess is doing. And the Daintree River. We've seen a bit of sugarcane harvesting going on today. There's sugarcane fields all the way up here. We actually went north to the Daintree. We went to Daintree Village. It's not much there, but it was worth it just for a drive. We were going to go over the Daintree River. You have to go over a ferry, and we were going to go to Cow Bay, but there was 500 metres of cars waiting for the ferry. The ferry takes 40 cars at a time, 15 minutes between trips. We figured we could be there up to an hour and a half, so we decided just to go to Daintree Village and then to come back, have lunch in Mossman and go to Mossman Gorge instead. Jess has always wanted to have a go in a skate park, but there's always boys around and lots of them, and it always inhibits her. But now we find ourselves with an empty skate park and she doesn't have a skateboard. But that's not going to stop her, or is it? Just wanted another crack at it. She wanted to demonstrate to people that she's not a failure. Her own words, not mine. I would never regard her as a failure. She has a go at everything. Ta-da! As you can see, I'm not in Mossman Gorge. I think today's going to go down as one of those days where the intention was good, but the will just wasn't strong enough to carry off our plans. We had originally intended to go to Cow Bay up in the Daintree National Park. To get there, you have to go across a ferry on the Daintree River, and as I said earlier, we got there and the queue was like 500 metres long, and we just didn't have the heart, particularly Jess didn't have the heart to sit in the car for probably an hour to an hour and a half to wait for the ferry, and I kind of get that. So we decided on a change of plan and thought we'd go up to Daintree Village and see what was there. Unless you wanted to go on a croc cruise, like on the river looking for crocs, there wasn't really a lot up there in Daintree Village. So then we thought we'd go to Mossman Gorge. So we got up to the gorge area. There's a centre, you park in the car park. I thought we could walk up to the gorge. It sounded like it was about an hour's round trip, the walk. But it turns out that it's actually a local community run centre, and you have to pay to get on a shuttle bus, and the shuttle bus takes you up to the gorge, and I think then you walk. And I don't know, like it was like today, the slightest obstacle was enough to put us off our plans. So we started the walk, but after a little while we just kind of looked at each other and said, what are we doing? I took a few nice photos of like sugarcane fields with mountains in the background, but I just didn't have the commitment to see it through, didn't feel like getting on the bus and being a tourist today. I think what's happened is that we've just kind of moved on mentally. We know that this trip is coming to an end after 209 days on the road. In 5 days' time we move into the apartment in Brisbane. We've been starting to organise things like internet connection, ordering a little bit of furniture, looking at DIY videos. I think we've set through the goal of being tourists and into the goal of moving into our apartment, and we're looking forward to the next phase of our life. So one more day here in Port Douglas. It'll be a day just spent locally, quietly. I'd like to use it for a bit more reflection and just to relax and re-energise before the long drive back. So I'm supposed to put another hour of effort into writing a blog sometime between now and 6 o'clock. But I've got to say my heart's not in it. That's the value of the accountability created by a mentoring relationship. I have a group webinar/mentoring session for my blog writing group tomorrow morning, and I promised I would get something to them, and what I've got is not ready to submit even in draft form. So I will make some time to do that, but there's something I really want to do first. And that is to watch some DIY videos with Jess. This is Mr. Kate, who Jess has introduced me to, and she and her partner do great makeovers. And this blue colour here is one of the colours. The blue colour on the wall is one of the colours I want in my bedroom. So we're going to watch this together. We decided to come for a walk down to 4 Mile Beach. I had an afternoon nap. I think being a little bit tired was half of my challenge today. So now we're going to freshen up with a bit of nature. Doing a bit of a photo shoot. Jess is just trying ever so carefully to get into position here on this fantastically shaped branch. Back on the wide expanse of 4 Mile Beach, looking back up to those mountains in the Tablelands again, always present. Let Mother Nature at work. Crabs burrowing into the sand here, throwing the balls around in these gorgeous random patterns, like pieces of abstract artwork. Well, that was rather a pleasant experience. After our walk, I sat down with a glass of wine, lit the candles in the courtyard, and set my timer for 45 minutes and just went for it with my blog post. This blog post is all about the value of tacit experience in the information age, and how tacit experience is actually increasing in value because the stuff that can be documented, explicit knowledge, the stuff that can be written down, the stuff that can be easily expressed is going to be automated. So this means that the stuff that, the know-how that is difficult to express, that is built of deep experience, often very visceral, sensory, very difficult to get our head around, this stuff is going to be increasingly valuable and increasingly critical. I've used a story from my time at Coca-Cola Amatil in the manufacturing environment to illustrate the story, and it's a story, or to illustrate this point, sorry, and it's a story I have like a deep connection to, and I have a deep empathy for the people involved, so I'm hoping it really brings the idea to life. So what this means is that in the information age, it's increasingly important to build connection between people, to ensure people can access others, to ask questions in the specific context, to tap into knowledge in the context of an issue or a problem or a need, because you just can't write it all down. And the way you apply that kind of deep knowledge is going to shift depending on what your need, problem or situation is. I've got to say, I'm actually starting to enjoy the blog writing process more, with or without candles and wine. And I'm starting to trust the process more. So this morning I spent about an hour and a half doing kind of a rough first draft. Actually, it was a second draft. The first thing I had done was almost like dot point research, got online, started doing a stack of research, looking for studies, papers that were relevant to the topic I was interested in. So this morning was like a second cut where I looked for a story and started writing the story. And then I kind of let my subconscious go to work on all of this, sat down this evening, and I think it all really came together nicely. So I'm looking forward to the webinar tomorrow morning, the monthly webinar with Katie Mack. It's part of a publicity program mentoring group that I belong to, and I'll see what feedback she gives me then. So Jess is in there cooking dinner. I love her cooking. She's got such a great flair with food. I really appreciate every meal she prepares for us. Tonight we're going to kick back a little together, probably watch a few more DIY and interior design videos, and I want to start thinking a bit more about my home office design. I ordered a standing desk a couple of days ago, and now I want to think about how I want to create a space that's really nice to work in the future. Maybe a candelabra. What do you think?